Hello and welcome to this edition of Tips and Tricks. Now today I'll be talking about how to catch fish after the fall turnover. Now I should start off with what the fall turnover actually is. A lot of fishermen, if you're new to fishing, you might hear about it, you don't know what it is. Well, during the summer months, you get a lot of warm water about 10 to 15 feet up in the lake. And then you have the thermocline. And then below that, the water temperature drops. It's usually not very oxygenated, and most fish in the summer will live above the thermocline. Well, once you start getting into the fall, usually into October and November, that top water starts cooling and cooling and cooling. And cooler water is denser than warm water. So eventually when it gets colder than the water below that thermocline, it breaks that little layer and it drops through. And that in fact is the fall turnover. Well, when this happens, it brings up all this unoxygenated water, and a lot of times there's a lot of floating stuff and things that come off the bottom, and it all mixes up. And that's sort of a key sign to look for. If your water's clear and suddenly it changes color, and it's around October, November, and it's been cold nights, the turnover's happened. Now, how to catch fish after the fall turnover. Well, I have really good experience with this. There was a tournament I was fishing. Nobody was catching fish. The turnover hadn't happened yet. I was doing really good. I was catching most of my fish along the main channel where it was really deep. Areas that are mostly affected by the fall turnover. Well, in the morning I actually caught a couple fish way up a creek, shallow. It was, it's 10, 15 feet for a good half mile or more back into it. But I hadn't been catching many fish there. So I kept going out and focusing on the main channels. And the fish were there, I could see my graph, but suddenly they weren't eating. Well, I was so excited, I didn't really notice the change in the watercolor and all the stuff floating. I didn't realize the turnover happened. So instead of spending all my time up in the shallows and in the back of flats, I spent all my time where the fish were most effective. And they were there, but they weren't eating. And I've already given clues to what to look for. And when the turnover happens, head way up creek channels, places where it's shallow, 10, 15 feet for a long way. No major drops or flats that head way back in. Because it's going to take 2 or 3 days for that water, once it's affected the main deep channel area, to slowly filter in and deoxygenate all the water further back in. So you have like a 2 or 3 day window after the turnover. You can probably find good fish and catch fish when everyone else is going, oh, the fall turnover happened, I'm not even going to go out. So there you go. How to catch fish in fall turnover. Look for the furthest places you can away from deeper main channel that you have in fact been catching fish up until that point. I hope this helps. Until next time.